Have you ever noticed how some seniors seem peaceful and alert, even in their late 70s, while others struggle with forgetfulness, anxiety, or deep emotional fatigue? It doesn't happen overnight, but over time it steals joy, memory, and even the will to connect. In this episode of Elderly Reflections, we dive into a surprising connection between sleep and senior mental well-being, and you'll hear stories, backed by research and lived experience, that may change how you or someone you love sleeps tonight. If you believe in elderly wisdom, life lessons from the elderly, and want more senior health tips, hit that like, click subscribe, and turn on the bell icon to receive weekly inspiration and motivation after 60. Let's begin with a truth many families ignore until it's too late. Sleep is not just rest. For those over 65, it becomes the gatekeeper of memory, mood, physical safety, and even dignity. Yet too often, poor sleep in the elderly is dismissed as a harmless nuisance, a normal part of aging. It isn't. In fact, in many cases, it's a silent warning. In a quiet suburb of Wisconsin, 82-year-old Helen had always been considered the sharpest mind in the room. A retired librarian, she could still recall entire passages from novels, the exact date of her daughter's wedding, even the names of every student she ever mentored. But things changed, slowly, then all at once. Her daughter Rachel was the first to notice. She would repeat herself, forget things. I caught her one afternoon sitting in front of the kettle waiting for it to boil, but it had already boiled 10 minutes ago. Naturally, they feared dementia, but scans showed no signs of Alzheimer's. That's when a different doctor asked something simple, yet powerful. How is her sleep? Helen had been waking up every night at 2 a.m., wide-eyed and unable to fall back asleep until morning light. She hadn't mentioned it because, like so many elders, she thought sleeplessness was just part of getting old. The diagnosis, chronic sleep fragmentation, and that one insight changed the course of her treatment. Across the Atlantic, in Manchester, England, another story unfolded. Very different but eerily familiar. John, 76, was a retired engineer, a widower, and by all accounts once a lively storyteller. But by late last year, he hadn't slept through the night in months. I don't mind being alone in the daytime, he told her, but the nights, that's when the ghosts come. She thought he was speaking figuratively, but he meant it. His mind raced with memories, regrets, echoes of conversations with his late wife. Like many seniors, John was trapped in a cycle of insomnia and depression. The link is well documented. Studies in the Lancet Psychiatry confirm that chronic sleep loss increases the risk of major depressive disorder fivefold in older adults. But more than that, the two feed each other. The less you sleep, the sadder you feel. The sadder you feel, the harder it is to sleep. When John finally began treatment, cognitive behavioral therapy for insomnia, a structured routine, a soft radio playing classical music at bedtime, his sleep improved. Slowly, his mood followed, and he began, again, to tell stories. Further south in Toulouse, France, Margaret, 79, lived alone in the same house she'd grown up in. She'd buried a husband, two sisters, and recently, her closest friend. One winter night, her son Luke received a call. Margaret said someone was walking around her home, whispering her name, but no one was there. This happened again and again. Luke feared dementia or psychosis, but tests showed otherwise. A sleep specialist was eventually consulted. The diagnosis? REM sleep behavior disorder, a condition where the dreaming mind fails to paralyze the body. In elderly people, it can cause confusion, vivid dreams mistaken for reality, even hallucinations. Combined with her untreated sleep apnea, Margaret's mind was stuck between sleep and waking. Her nights became frightening, not because of mental illness, but because her body was screaming for help. With the right interventions, melatonin, a CPAP machine, structured bedtime rituals, the whispers stopped. Margaret finally slept. Walter, 71, in Ontario, Canada, didn't report ghosts or confusion. His story was simpler, more physical, but no less telling. A diabetic with high blood pressure and chronic arthritis, Walter was on every medication his doctor could offer, but his pain never really improved. During a checkup, his physician noticed something odd. Walter was nodding off mid-conversation. "You look exhausted," the doctor said. "I am," Walter replied. "But I always am." It turned out Walter had been sleeping just 3 or 4 hours a night for years. Not because he didn't want it, but because his body simply wouldn't let him. According to research from Harvard Medical School, even partial sleep deprivation worsens inflammation, lowers immune defense, and disrupts glucose metabolism. For seniors like Walter, this means greater pain, unstable blood sugar, and an immune system too weak to fight back. After being referred to a sleep clinic, Walter received light therapy, strict evening wind-down habits, and guidance on sleep hygiene. 3 months later, he walked into his doctor's office smiling. "My body doesn't hate me anymore," he joked. I didn't know what rest had felt like. But not every story ends in laughter. Ursula, 85, from southern Germany, lived alone in the same house she'd raised her children. One night she woke to use the bathroom. It was dark, she was groggy, she missed a step on the staircase and fell. The injury, broken hip, fractured wrist, was life-altering. Ursula never fully regained her mobility. What caused the fall wasn't clumsiness, it was sleep inertia, a fog that lingers when we wake abruptly. In older adults, especially those on sedatives or with fragmented sleep cycles, this disorientation can last minutes, long enough to stumble, long enough to change a life. Data from the CDC shows that over 30% of nighttime falls in seniors are related to poor sleep. It isn't just the mind that suffers in the dark, it's the body too. Then there's grief, a slow-burning ache that settles into the bones. Edith, 77, from Oregon, had lost her husband of 52 years. She told her granddaughter that her bed felt too wide, too cold, too quiet. For weeks she lay there, eyes open, unable to cry, just listening to the silence. Grief doesn't always come as sobs. It can arrive as insomnia, and when the nights stretch on without rest, the isolation deepens. UCLA neuroscientists found that a single poor night of sleep can trigger feelings of rejection, withdrawal, and loneliness. In older adults already battling isolation, this can spiral fast. Edith eventually joined a grief group at her church. One of the counselors encouraged her to write bedtime letters to her late husband. Not to read aloud, just to write. That, paired with herbal tea, soft lighting, and a warm foot soak, became her ritual. Weeks passed, then one morning Edith woke up late. "I slept," she whispered, almost in disbelief. "I really slept?" These are not unusual cases. They are not rare. They are ordinary, frighteningly so. Across Europe and North America, seniors are silently losing themselves in the quiet hours of the night. Not because of disease, but because no one taught us to respect sleep in old age. And yet, sleep is where healing begins. When it falters, so does memory. So does hope. So does the ability to simply enjoy the present. So now we must ask, why does aging steal our sleep? What exactly changes in the brain, the body, the environment that makes something so natural suddenly so difficult? That's what we'll explore in part 2 of this journey. We'll uncover the biological shifts, the medications, the environmental traps, and the habits that disrupt rest in the elderly. And more importantly, we'll show how seniors are learning to take their nights back, one quiet, gentle hour at a time. As we continue this quiet journey into the world of sleep and mental health after 65, the next question that naturally arises is, why does sleep fade with age? Why do so many older adults who once drifted off effortlessly now find themselves staring at the ceiling at 2 a.m., haunted not by noise or pain, but by silence? The answer begins in the brain itself. Scientists have found that as we age, the brain's ability to regulate our internal clock, the circadian rhythm, gradually deteriorates. This is partly because the suprachiasmatic nucleus, the region responsible for controlling our sleep-wake cycles, loses sensitivity to environmental cues like daylight. At the same time, production of melatonin, often called the sleep hormone, declines steadily, leaving many seniors biologically adrift. They feel tired during the day but wide awake at night, trapped in a rhythm that no longer aligns with the world around them. Take the case of Harold, a 75-year-old retired mechanic from Kansas City. Harold had always been an early riser, but after turning 72, he noticed he was waking up even earlier, sometimes at 3:30 or 4 in the morning, unable to fall back asleep. His doctor called it advanced sleep phase disorder, a condition more common in the elderly, where the body wants to sleep and wake several hours earlier than most. Harold tried going to bed later, but it didn't help. His body was no longer synced with the schedule he had lived by for decades. Eventually, what helped wasn't medication, but morning sunlight. By sitting outside each morning for 30 minutes, letting the natural light hit his face and eyes, his body slowly recalibrated. "It felt strange," he said, "just sitting there. But I started sleeping longer. It was like my brain remembered something it had forgotten." But not every story is so simple. Many older adults don't just face earlier bedtimes or lighter sleep. They face pain, deep, unrelenting, often invisible pain. Arthritis, neuropathy, joint inflammation. These aren't just medical diagnoses. They are nightly intruders. For seniors like Doris, 81 from Portland, Oregon, even the softest mattress couldn't relieve the ache in her knees. She described lying in bed motionless, afraid to move. If I turned wrong, it would shoot through me like a lightning bolt, she said. Over time, the fear of pain became just as disruptive as the pain itself. Sleep was no longer a place of refuge. It became a place of anxiety. Her doctor eventually referred her to a physical therapist, who helped her with gentle stretching, foam rolling, and circulation-sized exercises in the evening. Combined with a warm bath and lavender compress on her joints, she began to reclaim rest. It's not perfect, she admitted, but now sleep feels like medicine, not punishment. For others, the struggle lies not in the body but in the mind. Anxiety in older adults is often underdiagnosed, misunderstood as simple worry or old age grumpiness, but it's real and it often shows up at night. Many seniors report racing thoughts, worries about their health, their finances, their families, or simply about dying in their sleep. These aren't irrational fears. They are reflections of a lifetime lived in a future that feels increasingly uncertain. Robert, a 78-year-old widower from Arizona, once described nights as the hours when you remember everything you wish you'd forgotten. He'd wake with a pounding heart, sweat on his forehead, convinced he'd forgotten to lock the door or turn off the stove. Even when he hadn't used it all day, his physician suggested he try journaling before bed. So each night, Robert would sit at his kitchen table and write down his fears, one by one. Some nights they filled half a page, other nights 3 lines. But in doing so, he emptied his mind before entering the bedroom. Sleep returned, not all at once, but enough to give him peace again. There is also the matter of medication. In the United States, the average senior is prescribed 4 to 6 medications. Many of these, while essential, come with side effects that quietly erode sleep. Beta blockers for heart conditions can suppress melatonin. Diuretics for high blood pressure increase nighttime bathroom trips. Antidepressants can cause vivid dreams and restless legs. But what's even more concerning is the casual overuse of sleep aids. Many older adults are prescribed sedatives like benzodiazepines or over-the-counter antihistamines that induce drowsiness but disrupt the natural sleep cycle. These substances may knock someone out, but they don't offer the restorative sleep the brain and body truly need. Carol, a 78-year-old former nurse from Chicago, had been using sleeping pills for nearly 5 years. They worked at first, she said. Then I needed more. Then they stopped working, and when I stopped taking them, I couldn't sleep at all. What helped Carol was a combination of things: cutting caffeine after noon, daily walks outdoors, magnesium supplements, and a weighted blanket. But above all, it was weaning off the pills and relearning how to trust her body to fall asleep naturally. It's a process, she admitted, but for the first time in years, I wake up without a headache. And then there's the problem no one likes to talk about: loneliness. The silent erosion of social connection has a very real effect on sleep. Humans are social creatures. When we feel isolated, the brain enters a mild state of alert, restless, on edge. In younger adults, this can manifest as social anxiety. In older adults, it shows up at night in the form of shallow sleep and frequent waking. A study from UC Berkeley found that lonely seniors experience lower quality sleep, lower heart rate variability, and higher nighttime cortisol, the stress hormone. Janet, 83, from Boston, had lost 3 close friends in the span of 2 years. Her daughter lived out of state. Her church group had moved online. At night, she often left a light on, not for safety, but for comfort. It felt like someone was there, she whispered. Her sleep was fractured. She woke up tired. Everything felt heavier. What made the difference for her wasn't therapy or medication, but a rescue dog named Molly, a small, scruffy terrier with a crooked ear and a gentle snore. Now, Janet said, I don't sleep alone, and that changes everything. Each of these stories, from Kansas to Chicago, from Portland to Boston, reveals a truth too often ignored. Sleep loss in seniors is not a single cause. It is a tapestry of subtle shifts, quiet fears, overlooked habits, and unmet emotional needs. It is biology and biography intertwined. To heal it, we must understand it not as a symptom, but as a signal. A sign that something deeper, something human is asking for attention. In the final part, we'll explore how sleep can be restored. Not through a single pill or a magic routine, but through real habits, home adjustments, emotional healing, and choices that build night after night. You'll meet older adults who found rest again not through luck, but through gentle determination and support. Because no one deserves to face the long night alone. And sleep, in the end, is not just about hours. It's about wholeness. Restoring sleep after 65 is not about finding a miracle. It's about finding rhythm. And rhythm for older adults begins with listening. Truly listening to the body and soul. In a world that too often tells seniors to just deal with it, reclaiming sleep becomes an act of self-respect. And as we've seen, sleep loss isn't always the enemy. Sometimes it's a messenger, quietly telling us where life has fallen out of balance. But what does it actually take to get better sleep? Not just more hours, but deeper, healing rest. Let's begin with what's most powerful and most ignored: routine. The brain, especially in later years, craves predictability. One of the most effective ways to restore sleep is to create what experts call a sleep window, a consistent bedtime and wake time that trains the body's internal clock. For George, a retired firefighter in Ohio, this was transformative. At 74, he'd been falling asleep in front of the TV and waking up groggy at 2 a.m., then tossing and turning until morning. His doctor didn't give him pills, he gave him a schedule. George began turning off all screens by 9 p.m., drinking chamomile tea, and reading one chapter of a mystery novel in bed each night. It felt too simple at first, but within 3 weeks, his body knew what to expect. "I don't fight sleep anymore," he said. "I greet it." Just as important as routine is light. Morning light, to be precise. Natural daylight is the strongest cue our brains have to regulate melatonin. For seniors who spend much of their time indoors, this cue is often missing. Emily, 77, from North Carolina, was waking at 3 a.m. and struggling to get back to sleep. Her grandson suggested she try sitting outside with her morning coffee, even if just for 20 minutes. She made it part of her ritual. After breakfast, she'd step out onto her porch, let the light hit her face, and breathe. After a few weeks, something shifted. Her nights grew longer, her dreams returned. It was like the sun started talking to my body again. She smiled. But light is a double-edged sword. Just as morning sunlight helps, artificial evening light harms, especially blue light from phones, tablets, or TVs. For seniors who rely on screens for entertainment or companionship, this becomes a hidden trap. That's why many experts now recommend amber-tinted night bulbs and screen filters after sunset. Dorothy, 82, from California, was skeptical at first, but after switching her bedside lamp to a warm tin bulb and using a filter on her tablet, she noticed her eyes felt less strained and her mind less wired. "The light doesn't shout at me anymore," she said. "It whispers." The bedroom itself must become a sanctuary. That means cool temperatures, quiet, soft bedding, and most importantly, no clutter. Many older adults keep too many reminders of the past in their sleeping space. Boxes of memories, old paperwork, even electronic. The result is mental noise. When Margaret, a widow from New Jersey, finally cleaned her room, donated old clothes, moved unused furniture, and placed a lavender plant near the window, she said it felt like the room could breathe again. That night, she slept 7 hours straight for the first time in years. Sometimes, she said, we carry too much, even in our sleep. Movement during the day is just as vital. Not intense exercise, but gentle, regular motion. Walking, stretching, Tai Chi. These not only improve circulation, but also reduce anxiety, ease pain, and prepare the body for sleep. Harold, 80, from Montana, began walking laps around his block each morning. At first it was 5 minutes, then 10. Now he walks 30, rain or shine. "My body earns its rest now," he said proudly. Still, not all sleep troubles are solved by routine alone. Many seniors carry emotional weight, grief, regret, loneliness that lingers at night. In these cases, healing sleep comes only after inner healing begins. That's why storytelling, prayer, journaling, and community are more powerful than most sleep aids. Carl, 79, from Colorado, began writing letters to his late wife before bed. He never mailed them, just folded them and placed them in a box. But each letter gave his heart space to rest. "I don't just sleep better," he told his son. "I sleep in peace." Nutrition also plays a role. Foods rich in magnesium, calcium, and tryptophan, like bananas, almonds, warm milk, can support sleep. Heavy dinners, caffeine after noon, or sugary desserts close to bedtime can disrupt it. Clara, 76, a retired school cook from Minnesota, began ending her day with a warm bowl of oatmeal and a drizzle of honey. "It reminds me of when I was young," she said. "Back when sleep came easy, that comfort alone made all the difference." In the end, there is no one-size-fits-all solution. Each elder is a world of their own, with memories, injuries, and rhythms built over decades. But what unites them all is this: sleep is not a luxury, it is a return. A return to self, a return to balance. And for every senior struggling in silence, there is still time to find that path back. Because rest, real rest, is a kind of dignity. It says to the body, you have done enough. To the mind, you may let go now. And to the soul, you are safe here. Sleep, for those of us over 65, is no longer just about rest. It's about healing. It's the time when the heart can soften, the mind can let go, and the body can finally feel safe again. And when sleep returns, even in small waves, it brings with it clarity, calm, and a quiet kind of strength. If you've made it to this point in the video, I want you to remember something simple. Your nights matter. You are not meant to carry exhaustion as your new normal. You deserve peaceful sleep just as much as you deserve peace of mind. If this video has brought you comfort, guidance, or even just a moment of reflection, please take a second to like this video. It helps others find it. Subscribe to Elderly Reflections for more heartfelt stories, elderly wisdom, and life lessons from those who've walked this road before us. And tell us in the comments, where are you watching from today? We'd love to know and remind you, you are never alone here.